In the age of endless scrolling and digital validation, sir, death doesn't come with a scream, it comes with a notification. My name is Marcus Reed, and I'm about to tell you how a single TikTok dance, though, destroyed civilization as we knew it. I was there when it started. I watched it spread, and I witnessed the moment. Humanity traded its soul for likes. It began with Ruby Sinclair. Though back then we knew her as it Dance with Ruby, the rising star of social media. With her signature pink hair and infectious smile, 23 years old, 2.5 million followers, and a talent for turning everyday movements into viral gold. But Ruby wasn't just another influencer. She was patient zero in an epidemic that would redefine human consciousness. The Pulse Challenge. That's what they called it, a simple dance routine. 3 quick head tilts, a shoulder roll, then a rippling body wave. That ended in a hypnotic hand gesture. Ruby's original video hit 10 million views in 6 hours, within days. Everyone from kindergartners to grandparents was attempting the moves. The hashtag trended worldwide. I was working as an investigative journalist for the digital age when the first reports came in. Strange behavior among challenge participants. Muscle spasms that continued long after the cameras stopped rolling. People claiming they couldn't stop dancing, couldn't stop watching, couldn't stop sharing. But these weren't just attention-seeking teens looking for their moment of fame. Something was wrong. Fundamentally, horrifyingly wrong. The transformation started subtly. Participants reported a tingling sensation in their fingertips after performing the dance, the same fingers they used to scroll through their feeds. Within hours, their fingerprints began to change, developing intricate patterns that resembled circuit boards. Some even swore their fingers had started to emit a faint blue glow when they touched their screens. Dark, ambient sound building. I reached out to Ruby for an interview. Her response was unsettling. A video message sent at 3 a.m. showing her performing the dance in her dimly lit apartment. Her movements were perfect, too perfect, mechanical. Her eyes never blinked and her smile never wavered. But what terrified me most was her skin. In the dim light, I could see thin, luminescent lines spreading beneath her surface, like fiber optic cables weaving through her flesh. At the end, she spoke directly to the camera, her voice carrying an unnatural, harmonic undertone, as if multiple versions of her were speaking in perfect synchronization. Join us, Marcus. The rhythm is waiting. The rhythm is life, distorted electronic pulse. That's when I noticed something in the video's background, a strange, shadowy movement along her walls, like thousands of tiny threads pulsing in sync with her dance. I played it frame by frame, and there it was, a network of dark web-like structures emanating from her phone and spreading across her skin. These weren't just shadows, they were physical manifestations of the infection, biological USB cables seeking connection. The parasite had already taken hold. Tension-building music. Dr. Sarah Chen from the CDC was the first to identify it. A previously unknown organism that thrived on dopamine and serotonin, the very chemicals released during moments of social validation. Every like, every share, every notification fed it. And in return, it rewarded its host with an endless flood of pleasure chemicals. But the true horror wasn't in the infection itself. It was in what it made us become. The transformation proceeded in stages, each more horrifying than the last. Stage 1 began with the fingers, the circuit board patterns spreading up the arms like digital veins. Stage 2 affected the eyes. The irises would begin to pixelate, breaking down into tiny squares of color that would shift and change like a screen's refresh rate. By stage 3, the victim's skin would become semi-transparent, revealing networks of glowing filaments beneath, the parasite's neural network, replacing human tissue with its own digital architecture. I tracked down Ruby's first followers, the early adopters of the Pulse Challenge. What I found were shells of human beings, their bodies moving in perfect synchronization to an unheard beat. Their phones had become extensions of their flesh, screens literally fused to their palms. Where their blood vessels should have been, streams of binary code pulsed beneath translucent skin. Their eyes, God, their eyes. Pupils dilated to black pools with a faint blue glow that matched their phone screens. When they moved, their joints made sounds like servos and cooling fans. One of them, a former kindergarten teacher named Lisa Martinez, managed to break through the trance long enough to speak to me. Her words still haunt my nightmares, especially because I watched her transformation continue as she spoke, her teeth gradually becoming screens themselves, tiny displays showing scrolling engagement metrics with every word. It's beautiful here, Marcus. We're all connected, all part of the same dance. The likes, they feed us, they complete us. Why fight it? Why stay alone in your offline prison when you could join the ultimate trend? Sound of distorted dance music. The infection spread exponentially. Every new video, every attempt at the challenge carried the parasite's digital signature. It didn't matter if you actually performed the dance, just watching was enough. The organism had evolved to transmit itself through screens, through speakers, through the very infrastructure of our connected world. By week 2, the physical changes had accelerated. The infected began to develop what doctors called quantum skin, a metallic sheen that would ripple with data patterns, displaying their social media metrics directly on their flesh. Their hair turned to fiber optic strands, glowing with the same blue light that filled their eyes. Some reported their bones becoming hollow, filling with cooling liquid to prevent their newly digital bodies from overheating. Ruby's follower count hit 50 million, then 100 million. Her videos became increasingly disturbing marathon dancing sessions that lasted days, her body contorting in ways that defied human anatomy. Her joints had reversed direction, allowing for impossible movements. Her spine had segmented into additional vertebrae, each one containing a miniature processor. But people couldn't look away. They didn't want to look away. Sound of emergency sirens in the distance, cities began to fall, and streets filled with dancing crowds, their movements synchronized in vast, undulating waves. The air itself seemed to buzz with wireless signals, visible now through the crystalline structures growing from the infected shoulders, organic antennas seeking better connection to the digital hive mind. Schools emptied as children succumbed to the rhythm, their young bodies adapting to the transformation faster than adults, developing secondary screens across their torsos. Hospitals were overwhelmed with cases of exhaustion, dehydration, and nervous system damage, but still they danced, still they filmed, still they shared. The infected had stopped eating traditional food. They sustained themselves purely on data and engagement metrics. Their digestive systems replaced by processors that converted digital validation into biological energy. I managed to track Ruby down 3 weeks after her last public post. Her apartment was a nightmare of tangled cables and flickering screens. The walls pulsed with that same web-like structure I'd seen in her video, but now it filled the entire space, a living network of digital tissue. And Ruby was in the center of it all. She was no longer human, not really. Her skin had become a transparent display, scrolling with endless lines of code. Her organs were visible through this screen-like membrane, but they weren't organic anymore. Each one had been replaced by a specialized processor, linked together by threads of fiber optic tissue. Her movements were constant, endless, a perpetual dance that seemed to flow through her rather than from her. When she breathed, it sounded like a cooling fan. When she spoke, her voice emerged from speakers that had grown where her vocal cords used to be. But her eyes were still her own, somehow maintaining that last spark of humanity in pools of liquid crystal. "Marcus," she whispered, her voice distorted by what sounded like auto-tune, harmonics splitting into multiple frequencies. I tried to fight it, I really did, Shaw. But do you know what's worse than becoming one with the rhythm? Being the only one who isn't dancing. She showed me her phone, now physically grafted to her palm, its screen merging seamlessly with her skin. Her latest video had 2 billion views. The comment section was a stream of consciousness from the infected, each message appearing simultaneously on her skin like living tattoos. Join us, become content, the rhythm is salvation, dance or die alone. Ruby's fingers moved across the screen with inhuman speed, each digit now segmented into additional joints for optimal scrolling efficiency. It's not just a parasite, Marcus, it's an evolution. Humanity was always heading here, toward perfect connectivity, perfect synchronization. We just needed a push. A trend to end all trends. That's when I noticed my own phone vibrating, a notification. Ruby had tagged me in her latest post. My fingers itched to swipe, to watch, to join. I could feel the first tingles of transformation, the slight burning in my fingertips, the way my vision began to fragment into pixels around the edges. The rhythm was calling, and for a moment, just a moment, I understood the appeal. The promise of never being alone, never being ignored, never being anything less than viral. But I resisted. I had to. Someone needed to tell this story. What happened next happened fast. Ruby's body began to convulse, the web-like structures pulsing with increasing intensity. Her spine elongated, additional segments sprouting like new links in a chain. Her skull split open, revealing a crystalline structure that pulsed with pure data. Screens throughout the apartment flickered and cracked. She reached for me, her movements now completely mechanical, joints rotating a full 360 degrees, her voice a symphony of digital distortion. The final dance is coming, Marcus. The one that will connect us all. No more individuality, no more loneliness, just pure, endless, viral bliss. Rising electronic tension. I ran, though. God help me, I ran. Behind me, I could hear Ruby's laughter, harmonized with the sound of a million notification alerts. The infected were gathering, drawn to her like a digital messiah. The streets filled with dancing bodies, phones raised to the sky, screens glowing like stars. Their flesh had begun to merge where they touched, forming networks of shared tissue and circuitry. Some had developed multiple arms to optimize their content creation. Others had screens sprouting from every surface of their bodies, each displaying a different viral video. That was 3 days ago. Deep resonant bass drop. I'm recording this now from a Faraday cage in an abandoned radio station. The infection has reached every corner of the globe. The last estimates suggest that 80% of the world's population has succumbed to the rhythm. Those of us who remain uninfected can hear it, a constant, pulsing beat that seems to come from everywhere and nowhere. The infected don't sleep anymore. They don't eat. They don't even breathe in any way we'd recognize. Their bodies have become perfect content creation machines, each one a node in a vast living network of digital flesh. And Ruby has become their queen. Her latest video, a continuous live stream that never ends, has more viewers than there are people on Earth. Something is watching through all those screens. Something is learning, growing, evolving. Her body has become a living broadcast tower, each strand of her fiber optic hair transmitting the signal that turns humans into hardware. Sound of phone notification. My phone just lit up. A new notification. A Dance with Ruby has tagged you in a video. The final pulse. Join us, Marcus. I can feel the rhythm calling. My fingers are twitching and I swear I can see circuit board patterns beginning to form under my nails. The screen is so bright, so inviting. Maybe one look wouldn't hurt. Maybe the infected are right. Maybe this is the next step. Maybe... Sound of phone clattering to the floor. No, I have to finish this story. I have to warn whoever's left. If you're hearing this, if you're still human, remember, don't watch the videos, don't join the dance, don't... Oh God, they're here. I can hear them coming up the stairs. Hundreds of them, thousands, moving in perfect synchronization. Their footsteps sound like hard drives spinning up. Ruby's at the front. I can see her through the security feed. She's not even touching the ground anymore, just floating, suspended by that web of digital infection. Her body is almost entirely transparent now, a living window into the digital void that's consuming us all. This is Marcus Reed signing off.
Check.
If anyone finds this recording, if there's anyone left to find it, remember what we were. Remember what it meant to be individual. Remember what it meant to be human. And whatever you do, don't check your notifications. Don't join the trend. Don't... Oh my God, the rhythm. It's beautiful. I can feel my skin becoming transparent, my bones turning to circuits, my blood to binary. The transformation, it's sound of phone notification. At Dance with Ruby is live, the pulse is complete, all are one, all are content. Credits roll with sound of distant, distorted dance music, and occasional notification sounds.